Good morning and Assalamu alaikum, my dears. Hope you all are doing well. So, welcome to yet another session of our open course, the paper for our English open course, Applied Language Skills. We were dealing with Module 1, Basics of Communication, in the last class. So, I would like to continue with that syllabus-based topic, Basics of Communication. In the last class, I had told you a beautiful story of the Tower of Babel, and it showed you the significance of communication and how language and communication and the interrelationship between human beings had bound them together. We had also seen a few definitions of communication and how the word communication came from the Latin word communicare. We spoke of the need of communication, especially in today's changing world scenario. We also went through the process of communication and the different parts of the communication system. So in today's class, let me begin with some more points to remember about communication. Some basic concepts that you have to know. Communication styles, it changes from person to person. During a process of communication, a person may invoke several channels or modes or methods to communicate a message. For example, I might be speaking at the same time I might be using gestures, I might be using body language. So all these methods and modes of communication help me to convey the message that I want to convey. But now, since we are using this online mode for classes, it is limited to a certain degree. The process of communication doesn't only depend on the source producing or relaying information, it also depends on the methods that you use. The next point, it depends on the communication method and the manner in which the receiver understands the message. So it is not only a one-way cycle, it's a two-way cycle where the receiver's method and manner is also affected. Suppose during our online class, your connectivity, your network issues, your situation at home, everything and affects the way you understand the message. Next point is communication begins at a given point. The first step is the generation of information. So we know what is the most important factor in a communication cycle. It is the message. So the generation of information. The second step is to put that into a medium of transmission towards the intended audience. So I think of the chapter I have to take. I think of the module that I'll be dealing with. That is the first step. The second step, I will be preparing PPT. I will be doing my video. I will be editing the video. I will upload it to the YouTube channel so that you can watch it. So this is the way communication transfers during our online class. Now, during a process of communication, the initiator of the communication must pay extra attention to the nature of the information. So since this is a very formal class, since this is your syllabus related class, I will be paying extra attention to the nature of the information. So I will be relaying the class, or I'll be relaying the information, the facts about communication in a very matter of fact way. It won't be very casual. I won't be using the vernacular. I won't be speaking in Malayalam. So all these determine how I will be communicating. The nature of the class determines the method I use. And this in turn, the skill that a person or a speaker has, it determines the effectiveness of the communication. Let us now see what are the different types of communication. Here we have a small pic which just shows a sender, a receiver, and how a message that he wants, the sender is giving a message that he wants pizza, and the feedback, how this communication is relayed. It's a relatively very simple pic, you can understand it. Okay, girls, now moving on to our next topic, that is types of communication solely based on the channel used. So, when you think of the types of communication, there are so many types of communication we have studied. So, I'll be using a specific mode, that is the channel used. Based on the channel used, the type of communication can be basically narrowed down to two, that is the verbal and the non-verbal communication. The verbal communication can be oral or written form. Now the oral here means the spoken form, and it can also be the written form of communication. The spoken form of communication can either be the face-to-face communication or a distant communication like we have right now. Now the non-verbal form of communication, it refers to a varied aspects of an individual's method used and his body language, the physical appearance of a person, the paralanguage, the aesthetics, the appearance. Now, verbal communication, I hope it's very clear, oral and written. Oral is again divided into face-to-face or distance communication. Now, non-verbal, it can further be divided into physical. Physical in the sense your physical appearance, it gives out a message. It's a non-verbal type of communication. Now, suppose we are conducting a Google Meet and I see you students seated very attentively listening to my class. That is, in the case you keep your videos on, which you rarely do. So in the scenario that you keep your videos on and I see your physical appearance, I might think, yes, some of you are very, you have put on your hijab well, you have dressed quite neatly, you are very seriously attending the class. While some of you might still be in their pajamas, they might be wearing the casual dress or, any dress, that a loose t-shirt or something like that, and, casually shawl thrown over their head. So a very casual. So we have a kind of, a communication is conveyed there. So the teacher gets the understanding, some of them are very studious and they are, really want to attend the class well. So they are well prepared for the class. They have a book in front of them. While some of them are simply, sitting with their hair, head resting on their heads, hands, and, very casual way they are appearing for the class. So that shows the student's attitude towards the class. So that is how your physical appearance might give a message. That is a non-verbal form of communication. Paralanguage is the method that you use outside language. That is not actually outside language, it's the mode you use. What can we say? Not actually outside language, it is what comes in your tone apart from the language that you use. That is the tone of voice that you employ, the kind of, tone you have while you are speaking. If I'm very harsh, it's seen in my language, right? So that is paralanguage, the tone of my voice, how I rise my voice suddenly, how it becomes very soft. If you're talking to a baby, if you're talking to a kitten, the way you speak, the tone of your language determines, or it gives you, it conveys a message. So, my children will really catch it very well. They'll know when I'm angry, when my tone rises, when my voice is very soft. So they know if they ask anything now, they'll get it. So that is what is paralanguage. That is also a form of communication. Aesthetic is what appeals to the eyes, something that is beautiful. That also gives you a message. The appearance of a person gives you a message. The gestures you use, everything gives out a message. So that is what basically relates to the types of communication based on the channel used. Physical, you can also interpret it. Since we already have appearance here, I think physical can also, you can use it to the physical aspects that you use, the gestures, the handshake, or the, what kind of, if you hug a person, that gives out a message, So these kinds of things are involved, can be seen in types of communication that is based on the channel used. Okay, dears, now again we have different types of communication. This one will be based on the style and purpose. In the last slide, I told you about the types of communication based on the channel that you used, and now it will be based on the style and purpose, that is formal and informal communication. Now we have two types of basic communication types based on the style and purpose, formal and informal. Formal communication can again be divided into vertical, horizontal, diagonal, or grapevine communication. Vertical communication is the communication flow up and down the organizational structure. Vertical is a straight line, a line from top to bottom, right? So the communication flow will be in that way, vertical, a straight line down or straight line up. It can be either way. It can be, the message conveyed from the principal to the HOD, who is, lower in rank, and from the HOD to the teachers, who are again lower in rank, and from the teachers, it again transfers to the, the students. So that is again a vertical form of communication. So this kind of communication flow that goes down a hierarchical structure is a vertical form of communication. It can be down or the other way around. That is, students can give a proposition. The union members might want to conduct an an Onam celebration. So they might put a discussion and they might inform their teachers. The teachers might inform the principal, or the students can directly inform the principal. Either way, it's a kind of vertical communication. It's a straight line communication. It's either up or down. So it can be two-way communication. Now horizontal is a line that is a straight line, in the sense what can we say to that line? Vertical is a line from top to bottom, while a horizontal line is a line from right to left or left to right. So that is the communication between two similar levels of the organization. So horizontal, when you draw a line from left to right, the margin, the lines in your notebook, when you have a ruled notebook, you have these straight lines, right? So that is a horizontal line. So this horizontal line might show the communication between students, between union members, the communication between teachers. So the teachers are all of a peer group, right? Same group. So there's same hierarchical level. So there is no senior and junior. So all the teachers are of one level. So the horizontal line, so the horizontal type of communication occurs here. Teachers have many discussions to do. They might discuss the coming, giving the APC, giving the internal marks, etc., conducting examinations. So the communication between the teachers or a group of HODs, how they are communicating between themselves, that's also a horizontal type of communication. Now diagonal, as the line suggests, it could be anyway. It could be a slanting line. Anyway, this is the communication across the cross-functional levels of employees from various departments of the organization. So within one department, HOD, English department HOD to the English department teachers to the students. So that is one hierarchy. Now the diagonal line suggests a different line, a slanting line. So this could be the English department HOD is giving an information to the commerce department teachers for handing over the lists of the students, so that the English teachers can be divided among the different classes. So this is a form of diagonal communication, a cross-functional level of communication. Okay, from various departments to other departments of a different rank, not the same rank but of a different rank. So that kind of cross communication. Grapevine communication is does not have any particular order, no particular hierarchy. It's nothing particular there. It's a grapevine. Just like you find a grapevine, it's all going here, there, up and down, side to side, whatever direction they want. So it has no particular direction, no particular hierarchical structure. Basically it refers to the gossips. Like when you have the interval, imagine the teachers are having lunch. Some students might come there, they might tell something to the teacher might say something to the principal. So in that way, that kind of gossips that travel around a campus is a form of grapevine communication. That was all coming under formal form of communication. Grapevine communication can be seen under formal communication, also an informal form of communication. And the other form is the informal or the casual communication, which is the general communication between random people of organizations. So informal communication might be a casual communication, simply talking about what did you bring for lunch. It was, was it a special type of chamandi or something like that? So you share the recipes. Students, they communicate informally. So not something very formal, very casual kind of communication. That is informal or casual communication. Next, we have the 7 C's of communication, which is quite important. What are the 7 things you have to note while you are communicating? A communication should be clear. There is no hierarchy. These 7 points come and go as they want. So the communication should be very clear. It should be very courteous. You should not use, bad words like that. And it should be complete in a sense. You can't leave a communication incomplete. Okay? Did you know what happened yesterday? I'll be asking someone. And they will say, yeah, what? Oh, it was a tragedy. Okay, now I have to go. So I can't just leave there. So communication has to be complete. It has to be coherent. It has to be understood. It has to be understandable. It should be concise. We rarely, especially, we girls, we have this tendency, of elaborating everything. Rarely do we speak concisely, right? In a way, it's good, you have this ability to be very creative, I think. Anyway, being concise is another important factor. It's one of the 7 C's of communication. All these words are starting with the letter C. Now, concise meaning, giving only the important information, very concise, very, precise kind of communication. It has to be correct. These are all just, theory. We always tell lies. There are things, as we told earlier, grapevine communication, gossips. So it can be correct, it can be incorrect. But still, when you say of the concepts of communication, it should be correct, it should be something valid. It should be concrete, it should be strong, right? Another form of correctness. Anyway, these are the 7 C's of communication: clear, courteous, complete, coherent, correct, concise, and concrete. Now moving on to another important factor that you have to note about communication, and that is the barriers to effective communication. What are the different barriers to effective communication? Barrier is something that hinders or that affects proper communication. So what could be the barriers to effective communication? Here, 4 major barriers are discussed: linguistic barriers, psychological barriers, technological barriers, and socio-cultural barriers. Now, linguistic barriers are basically related to the dialects, the regional problems, regional language slangs that you have. All these come under the linguistic barriers. Linguistic affecting the language, right? So it could be, scene where you have this people. Students living together in a hostel. So just imagine the scenario. People, you have some of your friends from Kozhikode, some from Kottayam, some from Kollam. So all these, different dialects. So sometimes you don't understand what did you say? What is that new word you spoke of? So it's very interesting studying in a hostel. The way you learn different languages, different slangs, particular words. You might have an affinity to certain words. So these kind of things are included in the barriers to effective communication. Next, we have the psychological barriers. The psychological barriers are the fear, the disorders, etc. Now, sometimes when you are communicating, you have this psychological barrier. Sometimes you aren't able to, become very attentive in class. For example, think of your scenario where, your parents told you in the morning that some people will be coming to see you. You have a marriage proposal. Some will be coming to see you today afternoon at 4. So in the morning session, you have your online class. So you are sitting for your OC class, and I'll be taking class. I'll be, going blah, blah, blah about effective communication, barriers to effective communication. So your mind will not be fully attentive. So you'll be very tensed. You are not very you don't have this you're not very excited with the idea of meeting someone now. You don't want to get married now. You want to enjoy. You want to complete your education here in the college. So you don't want to get married right away. So you have this barrier in your mind. You have this kind of you have all these thoughts. So you won't be paying much attention to the class. So that is a kind of a psychological barrier. Now, fear. if you don't like that person, if you fear that person, then you have this barrier. You won't be able to catch what they are saying. Disorders, sometimes you have this mental disorders which could affect your reception of what the communication is being what the message is being conveyed. Now we have the technological barriers again. Now the connectivity issue, you don't have a laptop, you are using a small phone, and your phone does not support 4G data. So all kind of technological barriers, all the science and development, all these factors are affecting your getting the information. That is a barrier to effective communication. Next, you have the socio-cultural barriers. Here 2 points I have noted down. One is religion and the other one is patriarchy. So these are 2 important points that you find affecting a good communication. One is religion. Sometimes you won't be able to communicate very well because your religion hinders it in a way. When others will be posting pics, and also in your religion you might have this kind of feeling you're not supposed to do something like that, this TikTok, and also you have your limitations where religion limits you. And sometimes you won't be able to reach out as much as the others. So that kind of barriers, and patriarchy where the male dominance is seen. So these kinds of socio-cultural barriers, all these affect your good communication. So I think that's all we'll have in this class. So thank you, girls. Thank you very much for your time. I hope the class was very helpful for you. So till we meet again, thank you and keep smiling.